Hello guys, and welcome to a new series today by me, Vulcan. Today I have for you the Empire Total War campaign. We are going to be playing as Great Britain, and thanks to you guys for voting in the poll on the community tab of my main channel, Vulcan HD Gaming. We got over 1,000 votes, which was absolutely insane, and most of you voted for this. So we're going to be doing the Empire Total War campaign, and then we'll see what we're going to do next once I finish another series. But for now, let's jump into the single player. We'll jump into the Grand Campaign, as that was the plan. We're going to be setting the game victory condition to World Domination, which is exactly what I want to be going for. It lasts for 100 years, this campaign, or until you complete the objective, so that's really, really awesome. In terms of difficulty, we're going to be keeping it on max. We have starting regions of 6. We're not actually terribly large, but I think we have quite a good economy. So that's what we're going to be going for. Let's go ahead and start the game.
Your first priorities as an island nation should be to ensure you have adequate naval defenses in place, as a strong navy is the key to protecting your shores. Beyond that, maintain friendly relations with other Protestant nations, such as the United Provinces, Hanover, Prussia, and Sweden, as the ever-present threats from Catholic France and Spain may require joint action by allies in the near future. In addition to securing your position at home, look to the preservation of your colonies in America and the Caribbean. France and Spain are always interested in expanding their overseas territories, and your colonists will provide easy pickings for less scrupulous nations if left unprotected. There is also much unexploited territory in the Indian subcontinent. Gain a foothold here before your rivals do. The once mighty Mughal Empire is on the verge of falling apart, but it is still important to move swiftly. The up-and-coming Maratha Confederacy is ready to pounce and forge an empire of their own, so allying with them against the Mughals could be a useful strategy. It is especially vital to act in India before the French gain a foothold and begin to work against you as they have in America.
Here we are, guys, ready to go. And it's been a while since I played Empire, that's for sure, but I jumped onto a campaign before I started this one, just to have a little mess around with some of the mechanics and refamiliarize myself with the mechanics. I'll go through those as I do my moves. So first of all, what we want to do is probably choose our technology. So what we want to do is get our gentlemen into Cambridge School here.
Gentlemen may be ordered to duel with...
So this will allow us to basically boost the research that we have chosen. I'm probably going to choose the social contract to begin with. This is because it gives us plus 10% to technology research, which is really, really nice. And we get the +1 per turn to town wealth in the region, which isn't massive, but yeah, the technology boost is the main thing because it will sort of allow us to snowball our technology in general. And we also have, after that, we unlock government by consent, which gives us even more technology research rate and so on. We can also go for empiricism, which also gives us technology research rate. But one thing we do have to be careful of is this thing called clamour for reform, which reduces happiness in general. And you've got to be careful about doing too many philosophical technologies because it does lead to quite a lot of unhappiness. But what we're likely to do, I'll complete social contract here, and then we'll likely go down maybe some of the military technologies. Getting the plug bayonet would be pretty good to allow us to engage infantry with our bayonets. Right, let's have a look at what else we have to do. We have an army in London, and one thing I absolutely love about the old Total War games is you can move armies without a general. How beautiful is that? Right, we'll move him into John Churchill's army anyway. And keeping armies under the sort of eye of a general is generally a good idea anyway. But I like how it's not forced on you, so that I can build troops and then send them to the front line to like reinforce without having to have an actual general lead the way. So I feel like that's just more realistic anyway. As for our actual research, we have the ability, or recruitment, sorry, we have the ability to get the regiment of horse here, which is just some cavalry, pretty standard cavalry. Then we have demi-cannons, we have sakers, and then we have the 33rd Foot. We can only have one of these because it's, I believe, a special unit, basically a flavour unit. Then we have line infantry, and we have militia. I think the only difference between the 33rd Foot and the line infantry is the melee attack slightly more for the 33rd Foot, and their morale is slightly better. But their melee defense is actually worse. So we'll have to work out what we want to construct in the future there, or recruit in the future. Another thing that's interesting about Empire is that all of our settlements are like separate. So we have like a main settlement which controls the region, which is England in this case, and then we have lots of little towns which specialize in different things. First of all, what we're going to do is upgrade Lincolnshire to peasant farms, and that will give us quite a lot of extra income. We get an extra 125 to region wealth. It's much more cost efficient than, say, upgrading the iron workshops here. Yes, the iron workshops will unlock technologies that we'll probably want in the future, but spending 2,000 to get an extra 350 region wealth is pretty expensive at the moment for me, especially when we see the scale of the map and the amount of things that I have to do. So Edinburgh up here, I'm not sure there's much to really do. I'm not going to be building the conservatorium here, which increases happiness. I don't need to. And we don't need to build a cannon foundry there because I don't want to recruit any cannons. We have an army in Ireland, but I don't think there's anything else we really need to do in Ireland. I could potentially upgrade this to a governor's residence, which gives extra repression, but it's not really worth it. It only gives us an extra 3% tax. Now that's not too bad, because if you look at the actual tax that we get anyway, it's like 2,875, so an extra 3% isn't like nothing, but I feel like it's more beneficial to put the cash into things like these peasant farms and things that aren't built yet than upgrading buildings we already have. We can work on that later on. We also have our navies. Naval recruitment is very interesting indeed. We can get a 4th rate ship of the line already. It has 58 guns on it, and something that we haven't really explored in the past on the channel so far is proper naval battles. In Rome 2, I kind of like ignored them and avoided them when I could, and in Warhammer they just don't exist. But in this game, naval battles are totally awesome. They really, really are cool. So I'm really looking forward to messing around with them, and yeah, I can't wait to show you them. But let's get Edward Russell to move over here. I'm going to have to use that navy to pick up my army, and I'm actually going to send this army round to this port here and drop off the army to our main army outside of London. The reason I'm going to do that is because I want to consolidate my forces in the UK. Also, we can do that because I believe infantry sort of retains its movement points even after it's been put on a ship. So, for example, in the next turn, I could probably load John Churchill here, onto the navy that I have in the port, move them over to France and attack France in the same turn. You've got to be very careful about things like that in this game, for sure. Because although the map is huge, you can actually move a very, very long way. You can just see like how far these ships can move in like one turn. It's absolutely insane. So you've got to be very, very careful about like random invasions and like random movement of troops. It can get pretty unwieldy sometimes, but I'll try and keep an eye on it as best I can. In the meantime, let's get this navy over here. We're going to get our rake and put him on there.
Your Majesty. At your service.
And we're going to have him dropped off near Paris.
Under sail.
and we'll have a look at what we are up against. Okay, I'm going to then have George Rook take his navy and join this navy here, which is docked in Portsmouth, where I was born. Anyway, we have Fort Malbouge, and then we have Camille de Houstan. He's got 2 units of line infantry and some Lancer Cav with Coureurs de Bois. And then we have Gendarmerie, line infantry, and they also have their garrison there. So the French are looking pretty strong with their army. We can actually check that, I believe. If we go into objectives and we go to like prestige, we can see how strong certain countries are. So you can see the military strength of France is actually pretty high in comparison to us. We're only 6. Austria's pretty high. Prussia's high on the military, same with Russia. But we benefit from having a bigger navy than pretty much anyone else. Also, our economy is pretty damn good. And our enlightenment is better than everyone, except from the United Provinces, who are our allies. Before I go into diplomacy, let's jump over to the Americas, and we'll have a look at what's going on over here. We have an army in Port Royal. This is Kevin McDowell, and he has some colonial militia there. They don't have any roads in Port Royal, but they can recruit colonial line infantry, which are actually cheaper than standard line infantry, but I believe they suffer from having less melee defense as far as I'm aware. That's only 13. If I go to like England, for example, yeah, 15. So I think colonial units tend to have a slightly lower melee attack and melee defense and different stats like that. Okay, anyway, this has a military governor's barracks, which can build colonial militia, 12-pounder howitzer foot artillery, colonial dragoons, colonial light infantry, 12-pounder foot artillery, colonial line infantry, and also 3-pounder horse artillery. Most of those have to be researched. As you can see, it requires different researches. But just in general, I don't think we need to recruit anything here for now anyway. We also have some more troops at Nassau. These are colonial dragoons, pikemen, line infantry, and demi-cannons. We also have this plantation here. And I think what we're going to do here is probably build some more sugar, because if I go into the government tab and go over to trade, we can see that sugar is worth more than coffee, which I could otherwise build on that slot. So we're going to get more sugar. Now, supplying more does potentially lower the cost because of supply and demand. If you supply too much of something, then the world market will need it less, and therefore the price will go down. So you do have to be careful about imports and exports and supply and demand and all that kind of stuff in this game. It's very, very interesting, the trade side of Empire Total War for sure. But taking a sugar plantation there early on is probably a good idea. Then we can start exporting it from our port at Nassau. Right. We do have a couple of navies. We've got a navy up here. This is John Leake. We're going to have him join James Berkeley down here, and he will take over the navy. Then what we're going to do is probably go down and take on these pirates. We need to get rid of those pirates, so let's go ahead and move towards them, and we'll maybe get a naval battle in before the end of the episode. That would be pretty damn cool if we could, because I really, really want to show it to you guys. Something I'm really excited about. We also have a colony up here. This is Moose Factory, also known as, well, on Rupert's Land. Then we have a Protestant missionary. He's going to be converting the populace for us. We have a extra slot here for furs. I think we're already sort of exporting quite a few from this fur trader. Yeah, that's producing 30 fur pelts. We can get 22 fur pelts from this one. And the reason that's different, by the way, is because you can see the yield in the top left of the little box. It says abundant yield, whereas this is like average yield, which is why it only produces 22 as opposed to 30. We also, in this far right, have the farm with meager yield, so let's just upgrade that. And I'm not sure we need anything else here for now. Not going to bother. with any more recruitment. Right. What I am going to do, however, is if we jump back to London, is maybe recruit some more troops. I think I might get the 33rd Foot Regiment, and we'll get some line infantry. But one more thing I need to do before I forget is jump into diplomacy. So we've gone through the objectives tab, which is to capture and hold 50 regions. We've looked at prestige. We've also gone through the government tab. The government tab gives us a national summary, our monarch, our government type. All of this kind of affects relations and diplomatic relationships and stuff. Policies, I think we can upgrade this a little bit. Our taxes of the sort of lower class, if we put it all the way up, it goes to -4, but if we just tax it like so, then that's fine. I think we can do that at Rupert's Land as well. Yeah, we'll keep the taxes up on the middle classes. That will give us a little bit of extra money in the end turn. And then we have our ministers here. All of this sort of just affects how much tax income you get, for example, from the Chancellor of the Exchequer. This guy, Secretary at War, reduces recruitment costs and gives extra land, military, technology research rate, all that kind of stuff. And they just level up more as they stay in those positions. You can also, I think, replace them by firing them. So yeah, that's something else we can look at as well in the future, but I'm not entirely sure how all of that works. If there's anything that I'm not sure about, I think it's probably the government tab. So if you guys have any tips, let me know. Right, awesome stuff. Let's have a look at diplomacy. Okay, so as Great Britain, we do have a lot of ports, which allows us to sort of trade with a lot of different people. I think, well, France probably doesn't want to trade with us because they are hostile. But we should look at other major nations that we want to trade with. And I think Austria is actually a good start because they are a relatively large nation, which is quite wealthy. And they will buy a lot of goods from us because they won't be able to gain access to them themselves. So let's open negotiations with them and we'll request a trade agreement. We will demand a payment of 1,000 and see if they take that. What would be nice is if I could like hover over the trade agreement and see how much it's worth. A single payment of 490. I think we're going to accept that for now. And let's see how much that increased our income by. Yeah, I think that was definitely worth it. I think we're on about 3,700. It's just jumped up by another 300. So we'll pay off how much we paid them in a couple of turns, which is more than worth it for a trade agreement for sure. Let's again go back into diplomatic relations. Maybe the Maratha Confederacy would like a trade agreement as well. That would be a good idea, I think. It said about allying them, and I guess that's definitely a good idea. But we probably want to start off with a trade agreement. Again, they're asking for 490. Not sure if that's a good idea. What about the Ottomans? The Ottomans are unfriendly, but might still take a trade agreement. They're pretty large as well, so that would be quite sort of good for us. See if they give us some money. Oh, they're going to give us 480. Okay, we might spend that 480 on the Maratha Confederacy one. Okay, let's see how much that improved our income by again. 482 we're on now. So it's gone up by like another 400. So 4,482. It's pretty good. Yep, trade's definitely helping us out. Let's go back into diplomatic relations. We also, one thing to note actually, is we have a limited amount of ports. So you can see here it says the ports in your home region are at full capacity. That's not actually the case. It just says that because we can't trade with their capital. But it's definitely something that you need to consider when offering trade agreements around. I think we'll go for this trade agreement with the Maratha Confederacy. Let's request a trade agreement. We'll ask for 1,000 again. And maybe they'll change. No, they won't. Okay. It's fine. See how much that increased it by. Not as much. Another 400, I think. I guess it's fine. Mughal Empire we could trade with, but we don't want to, like, trade with both. I guess we could like ally with one. They're already at war with each other, so that's not too bad. Don't want to trade with France. What about Prussia? We could trade with Prussia, maybe. Let's trade with Prussia. Request trade agreement. They already have the plug bayonet. Interesting. Could we like ask for that in return? Sir, these proposals have little to commend them and therefore must be rejected. I don't think they like that. But they are still friendly with us, so let's just ask for a payment, demand payment. Okay, that's fine by me. Might be worth also getting a alliance in there, because they like us quite a lot and they're not enemies with too many people. Although we're currently allied with Austria. Is that a good idea? I don't want to like break my agreements if I can help it, so I'm going to avoid the alliance with Prussia for now. What about Mughal Empire? No, we already looked at that, didn't we? Now we'll go over to the minor nations and we'll probably go for like attitude wise. So Savoy we could trade with. We can trade with Venice. Trade with Denmark. Denmark might be quite a lucrative one since they're relatively large. Let's do that. We'll request a trade agreement with them. Offer or demand, sorry, a payment for that. 300. I think what we're going to do, I'll check that first. See how much it gives us. We're on 5,248 per turn. That is income, which is pretty nice. If we go to Denmark and get this trade agreement, then that goes up to 5,570. That's a relatively good increase. Anyone else we can trade with? I think we've definitely filled our ports to capacity now. And that is therefore everything we can do for this turn. Unless we want to find any alliances. We're already allied with Hanover. 13 colonies is our protectorate. Saxony are friendly with us, but they are a protectorate of Poland, Lithuania. Savoy is also friendly with us and could help us against France, honestly. Like in the future. That might be a nice idea. Let's request an alliance with Savoy and we'll ask for some money for the privilege. Maybe just 1,000? No, maybe they won't take it. No, they won't take it at all. Any other nations? United Provinces, Sweden likes us a lot, but they also have bad relationships with Denmark, Russia and so on. That could get ugly. Very ugly actually. Yeah, maybe it wouldn't matter too much because they won't attack us straight away and we have a really good navy, so this might be a good idea if we get an alliance. If we ask them for money, maybe they'll take it. What is that about? Look at this. Give region Estonia and Livonia for Ireland for military alliance. So let's not do that. Yeah, I'm good. That's a very odd proposal. Okay. We got 1,337 to spend. Do I want to spend it on anything? Probably not. I think the only thing that I do want to spend it on eventually is the fur trader here. But we'll keep it at 1,337. I think that's a pretty good number. Let's move on to the next turn. Old United Provinces. Good friends of ours. Ally attacked. Aggressor Prussia versus Austria. Now, Austria is allied with the United Provinces, same as us. I guess we have to enter this. That's annoying because we just organised trade with them. Poland and Lithuania also attacking. And that's going to bring in Denmark, Russia, Courland and Saxony. Wow. Okay. So I guess we're at war with a lot of people. Denmark, I guess, being one of them. Guess we'll just invade Denmark. Ally attacked 13 colonies by the Iroquois. We have to enter that war as well. Off to a very explosive start, that's for sure. Yeah, so Sweden's definitely at war with Denmark. Nation declared war on me. Hurun Wyandotte. Great. Well, we're going to have to defend against them as well. It looks like a lot of crap's going down in the colonies. Okay, path blocked. Where do those pirates go, I wonder? I have no idea. A mission issued. Let's have a look at this. Capture regions. A mission has been issued. It is a general consensus that the tasks stipulated here should be achieved for the good of the nation. Objective: Georgia, Cherokee Territory, and New France. Description: the leaders of the 13 colonies suggest that you ensure the future dominion of Britain in the Americas by consolidating your control over the surrounding area. If you succeed in capturing the regions of Georgia, Cherokee Territory, and New France, the 13 colonies will be yours to command. Be sure to maintain friendly relations with them until this union is secured. Reward: the 13 colonies will join your nation. Wow. Okay, so what is that? New France is up here, which is Quebec. Where else? Cherokee Territory and Georgia. This is Cherokee Territory down here, Chicasa, and Georgia is here. Okay, so I guess what we could do is bring up our armies from the south, which I think is a good idea anyway. So let's go ahead and get our guys on the ships, and we'll go and sail up towards Nassau. We'll pick up the units off Nassau, and we'll go and attack Georgia straight away, and then we'll attack Chicasa, the Cherokee Territory as well. Although, like, Hurun Wyandotte declared war on us, didn't they? And they are both at York Factory and also Fort Saint Ste Marie. So we're going to have to start getting some troops at the Moose Factory here. So we can get Hessian Line Infantry. We can only get 5 of these. Musket armed troops used to mass volley to break an enemy. Yeah, we'll get 1 there. It looks like we can only recruit 1 a turn, so I'll just keep it at 1 for now. I might put the cash into the fur trader here as well. Actually, maybe not, because if we're going to get attacked here, we might lose it. Path blocked. That's fine. Recruitment report is good. Got buildings constructed. War declared between the United Provinces and Spain and Nova Britannia. Captain William Dampier of HMS Roebuck has returned from a voyage of exploration in the southern latitudes, where he has been engaged in mapping several coastlines around New South Wales and the former Spanish possession of Nova Guinea. as an experienced seaman, having circumnavigated the world during his time as a buccaneer, he found himself marooned with a shipmate on a South Sea island and escaped by building a raft, eventually returning to England with nothing but the clothes he wore and his journals. Dampier successfully published his journals as New Voyage Around the World, which caught the attention of the Admiralty. They engaged in his services as commander of the Roebuck exploration expedition. After successfully charting several coastlines and discovering an island now named Nova Britannia or New Britain, the Roebuck eventually bore up for home, unfortunately foundering on Ascension Island. Fortunately, Dampier and the surviving crew were soon picked up by a passing East India Company vessel. Upon returning to Britain, Dampier's discoveries have been marred by accusations of brutality. A crew member imprisoned in Brazil returned before Dampier and blackened his name with the Admiralty. Despite protestations, Dampier has been court-martialed and stripped of his position and pay for the entire voyage. Undeterred, he has since published an account of his second circumnavigation and is actively contemplating a return to his previous buccaneering lifestyle. Okay. Well then, that has unfortunately been my time, and that's where we're going to have to leave it. So we got some more troops popping out of London. We'll get this army together, and I guess we're going to have to go and invade somewhere, probably Prussia. Looks like Denmark didn't actually get involved in the war. We're not at war with Prussia. Who are we at war with? Poland, Lithuania, and Prussia. Yeah, so we'll go and invade Prussia. And I'll also go and invade the Brun Wyandotte as well. We'll go and attack them. I'll take the men off the Caribbean and move them round north and take them on. And we'll see what happens. Right. In the meantime, that has unfortunately been my time. Hopefully you guys have enjoyed it. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next episode. Goodbye.